All right, thanks so much for having me. Let's see if we can pull up some slides here. All right, so I'm Mike Jones. I'm the founder of an entity called Science, which we'll talk a lot about. It's a venture studio. And today I'm going to do a talk called Building Impossible Things with Exceptional People. To be candid, the original topic was building impossible things with exceptionally difficult people. And I think you'll learn why as I go through this. And I'm going to be honest, I've only done this presentation to people that are typically way drunker than you guys, way later in the afternoon, and didn't have so much like COVID spacing happening. So I'm really glad you guys are adhering to the COVID protocols today. Very exciting. So to give you a sense of my journey, I started as an entrepreneur in college and built my own company because I was just literally too stubborn to go work for anybody. I never want to have a boss, and at the end of the day, I want to kind of control my own destiny, so I built my own stuff. And eventually I sold that company to AOL through what was kind of a complete miracle. And I was at AOL during the time that Jason Calacanis and Chamath was there, and they were like still sending out CDs. Do you guys remember AOL CDs? It's so bright, but I'm assuming you guys do because you all look pretty old. So you all got these CDs, and AOL was like, oh my God, we're a media company, and it's like, Time Warner. And so they started buying companies like me to come in and build kind of social inside AOL. And it was my first job, and I came in as like a big title that was very exciting, and I had no idea what I was doing. And suddenly I realized that, oh my gosh, like inside big companies, there's actually like really exceptional people, like really, really brilliant people. It makes sense because they're paid most in those companies, so they get the best salaries. So you have really great people at some of these bigger corporations. And I started realizing I did not know everything. So when I went inside these companies, I came in as an early entrepreneur where you have to be stubborn and Machiavellian, and suddenly I was like, oh my God, like there's a lot to learn from people that, went to business school. And so I started learning from them, which was a great journey. AOL eventually, hit my earn out. I transitioned out, and then I took a brief stint in private equity where I turned around a few companies and sold them because I started like building software and realized I could sell companies. But then the former head of digital from AOL had taken a job with Rupert Murdoch and was like, oh my God, MySpace is all, and I think this is on the record, so I'm not allowed to swear super bad, but I'll just say it was really fucked up. And so they said, we need to come into MySpace and try to clean up, what's going on here because Facebook's essentially kicking our ass. I came into MySpace, we had like 30 global offices, it was like 4,000 or 5,000 employees, and the first week, obviously, they come in with a 500-page budget and say, find $100 million worth of savings. And so thus begins the 4-year, massive extraction of value of trying to get MySpace essentially out of News Corp in some relative way. And again, a really incredible learning experience for me. Again, working with people that I would hold at like incredibly high caliber and intelligence, which is such a change from working with startup founders because they might be high intelligence, but maybe the caliber is not as high. So I worked at MySpace for quite a bit inside the corporate world. Worked on the Hulu piece, all the JVs. The News Corp was doing a variety of different digital initiatives. Super interesting. Witnessed corporate innovation from the inside. How it's like 10 times more expensive than doing externally. Very difficult to work with startups. Completely slow. Hampered by legal processes. Infighting inside the organizations. I saw all the difficulties of saying, oh my God, we should put the newspaper on the iPad, and suddenly the digital newspaper takes $30 million to launch. So I witnessed that from inside News Corp, which was super fascinating. After that, I advised Snapchat and TikTok because Snapchat at that point was like a little house on the Venice beach, and they were like, oh my God, you must know about social, and there's 10 of us, and we're sending disappearing porn messages through the web. And I'm like, oh. And so worked with Snapchat. At some point, the TikTok founders found me, and when they were called Musical.ly, if you remember, it was just pure dancing back then, and they were trying to figure out their world. So I spent time in social. And then I set up this entity called Science, and my goal was to basically put together like an operational team that was like operated more like private equity, in that I'd have like 15 people, deep ops, deep finance, high touch, and we could partner with that young, talented founder. So we take raw young talent, pair them with like a team of people that actually had jobs and had formal education and knew how to run companies, and suddenly we could build some things, and we built some things. Right, so, and I'll go through some of these stories and how we built some things. But yeah, we built out Dollar Shave Club and sold it 4 years later to Unilever. Rover, which was a big dog boarding service, got sold to Blackstone. But I always confused if it's BlackRock because, Stone Rock, I don't get it. Liquid Death, which obviously is our current kind of big portfolio breakout. And then a bunch of new ones that you may or may not have heard of. So I focus exclusively on consumer, and I focus on consumer because for me it's just the most exciting. Like, I don't get super excited about optimizing your data centers or figuring out how to better handle your legal needs or making sure that you're regulated in the right countries. I want to do stuff that like millions of people taste and love and interact with on the web, in mobile apps, etc. So let's talk about building things. They only gave me like 15 minutes, so this is gonna go really fast. I know it's early for you guys. So I like massively culturally relevant, fun stuff. I myself do not consider myself cool, but I think I'm pretty good at seeing things that are cool, and I can pack us full of really cool stuff because we kind of see it in the market. And we gotta do really fun things, right? Really bold things, and things that most corporates would probably really cringe at. So if we start talking about those stories, so Dollar Shave Club knocks on my door, young founder. Somehow he founds his way to like a warehouse full of unsold razor blades through, I don't even know, I feel like there was a rabbi involved, and suddenly he's like, I'm gonna sell these things on Groupon, and I'm selling them for like $1 a piece, and we're just gonna ship them through the mail, and I've created this one-page website, and he's like, he comes to my, my office at the time, which I think we were operating out of a WeWork, and he's like, I pitched everybody, and no one will give me money. Like, there's no money, right? And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, why? And he tells me the business. I'm like, oh my God, $1 a month. Like, what kind of business would we make for $1 a month? Like, this is terrible. So it takes forever to make money with this stupid company. And so he's like, well, I got this thing. I made this video. And I'm like, I don't know. The video, sure. And he's like, I don't know if I want to show it. I have it edited. I'm like, just fucking show me the video. You're here. It's already a no. So like, how bad can it get at this point for you? Like, I'm ready for you to leave, to be totally honest, right? And he shows me this video. I'm like, oh my God, this guy. Right? So why this guy? He came out of an agency world. He was a creative marketer. He had no budget. He goes to a warehouse. I don't even know where he films it. He grabs like one of the warehouse workers, puts her in a shirt, films his video himself, right? Makes this video. Now at that point, I often connect breakout brands to emerging social platforms because that's like what's happening. At that moment, I was like, I think about content as commerce. That was always floating on my mind, and I was like, YouTube could use a breakout, and maybe this is the video to break it out. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it, right? And I'm like, we're operational. We get to own a third. Let's build the company with you, right? The first video comes out. Suddenly, it's like he's getting millions of orders. 4 years later, we sell the company for $1 billion. We get it to about a $250 million run rate. Ironically, I had brought it to Unilever early days. I brought it for their Series A or B. I was like, hey, Unilever Ventures, you guys should invest in this, right? They passed. We kept in touch with them. Later on, JP Morgan really kept in touch with them, and then suddenly they bought the asset. And then whatever happened afterwards, I don't know. It didn't work out. Unilever eventually gave the asset back to private equity. But either way, we built it up through pure direct-to-consumer commerce. We targeted one channel, which was D2C subscription. We were super diligent and strong at it. We ran it like a hedge fund, trading traffic all day, super tight team, great brand. Mike Dubin, the face of that brand, was like every guy's best friend, and the guy every girl wanted to sleep with. He just like worked on both audiences. He was no threat to anybody. Maybe all the guys wanted to sleep with him. It worked really well. Like, he had a really good brand. He nailed it perfectly. The price was obviously super cheap in a world where Gillette was behind like a locked cage inside of a Target with, whatever. And great fast delivery, which was great. And then we did a ton of social. So that company worked really, really well for us. We loved it. Liquid Death. So this is definitely one that you all would have passed on. 100%, there's no way you would have done this deal, because when they walked in, they're like, we've got this can, it's called Liquid Death. And then they show me their first video ad that was like a woman waterboarding somebody, like on his back, towel over the face, pouring a can of Liquid Death. I'm like, torture videos like on Facebook? Guys, like, we can't launch a brand. But I saw the need because I'd actually talked to corporates. So I talked to Diageo. They were telling me about the trend numbers and alcohol consumption. We saw the growth of weed happening in California, and knowing that people wanted something alternative. This guy comes in and says, hey, you're at a concert, you don't want to drink alcohol, what are you holding? You're holding a plastic piece of crap Sparklets container. No one feels cool holding this. What if you held my can? Pretty simple, right? I saw it with the can. Yeah, the marketing at first wasn't going to be great. We ripped down, God forbid you actually find that waterboarding video. It's probably out there. Please don't. And though we build Liquid Death, right? Now, this business, ton of corporate partnerships, right? Early days, 7-Eleven comes in, getting heavily involved. Tons of dialogue and interaction with Whole Foods, our initial partner. And then Live Nation steps up. And Live Nation steps up in like a meaningful way. They're like, you know what, we love it. We want to buy equity in it. We want to give you debt. We want to give you distribution deals. That's a big partnership for us. We want to be on the board. I was like, wow, we felt extremely supported. We still feel extremely supported by them. They were the most aggressive stepping into this. It was fantastic, and they're going to make a fortune off of this deal. And by the way, it completely aligns with their brand. It's perfect for their venues. I mean, it's a complete home run. Great corporate involvement with them. So Liquid Death's been on a great journey since, obviously, but 7 years in, right? Still private, at scale. We will find our way to IPO, exit, whatever at some point, because as the largest shareholder, we're not in the business of holding companies past 10 years. Right? Like we can't be in that business. We're in the business of returning money to our LPs. So we will find our way out, whatever it is, but they're on a tear. They just expanded into energy. They do everything up to the edge on marketing. So when they run their marketing department, I'll tell you this, they run it like a Saturday Night Live writer's workshop. It's a bunch of comedians sitting around in a room coming up with crazy ass shit that they can rip out for super cheap. Right? They are not running the marketing departments the way you guys run marketing departments. And all their stuff wouldn't pass through. And I would tell you what the missed opportunity both the Dollar Shave Club and Liquid Death is with our corporate partners, they should have spent more time with us because they would have learned more. Because there's so much innovation happening at these young companies that you can't see because you can't see it from the outside and your groups won't do it internally because it's too risky. You go sit in those marketing meetings, you will just learn stuff. So the closer you can get to these operational teams, I'm telling you, extract knowledge, it'll be way more valuable than the returns you're gonna get out of any of our funds. Rover, dog boarding marketplace. Some guy walks into my office. He's like, you know, I think there needs to be an Airbnb for dogs. And I'm like, just get the fuck out. Like, what are you talking about? This is a terrible idea, right? No. Like, you know, people hate kennels. I'm like, yeah, they do hate kennels. Yeah, and so I set up a Craigslist ad, you know, and I'm babysitting people's dogs at my house. And I'm like, okay, like, congratulations. You're like almost a homeless person. Like, you're making enough money. This is great, right? So suddenly, he's like, let's build a platform, trust-based platform. People can really trust other people. We'll create an economy. People can basically earn money watching dogs. They love dogs. People that love dogs actually behave better than people who work at kennels. Kennel people don't love your dogs. Like people that love dogs and accept the dogs in your house, they love your dog. So we build out Rover, whatever. I mean, I think this took 7 years for us to, or no, I think this took 11 years for us to exit. 2.5 billion, Blackstone Rock, whatever. Great, you know, trust, access, network. Again, corporate. Let's let random people drop dogs off at other people's homes. There's no way you're doing this, right? It's amazing we did this. And then we started new stuff. So, you know, for me, I have this team of people. We come up with ideas all the time. We look at a ton of pitches. We get a lot of data. We look for narrow areas where we can have really fast disruption. And I'll tell you more and more, I'm optimizing to control. So the new companies I'm launching, candy businesses, protein snack company coming out of legacy spots, these are informed from data that we get from Walmart, we get from Target. We launch these things through TikTok super fast. The operational to launch cost could be 50 grand. 50. It's more than like your flight and hotel budget for this trip. I mean, we are launching stuff so cheap, I won't even begin talking about what AI is doing to us. It's changing absolutely everything, right? But now for me, as like a big owner of these things, I'm like, we are going to control them. Right? So we will be the primary capital source up to scale. We will bring in later stage, but I want to find smaller level exits because yes, you can go put your money on the lottery tickets of Anthropic and OpenAI, and please do, because unbelievable things are happening. But right now, you can be banging out $100 to $500 million exits in CPG really predictably. So we've created about 6.1 billion of value of companies across the things that we've started internally, and there's a long list. We've done 150 different companies. There's very few sectors we probably haven't touched. So let's talk about the people, exceptional people, difficult people, the types of personalities you're dealing with as founders. I will tell you, it starts with this word called the dark triad. So what are the traits of the greatest business leaders in history? Narcissism, disagreeableness, obsession, and Machiavellianism. Half the room probably looks at the slide and they're like, oh yeah, that's me. The other half is like, oh shit, I work for that person. And like half of you probably are like, oh, I dated that person. You know, better to invest in them than to work for them or date them. But these are difficult traits. They are traits that do not work inside your corporate walls. right? These are not people that want to be told what to do. They do not want to have boundaries put around them. They want freedom. They do think they're right. They do think they're smarter than you. They absolutely have visions that will drive them to success. They're very passionate what they do, and they do not work within traditional systems, right? And so it happens to be, I'm really good at working with these people. I don't know why. Right? I recognize their value as an artist. I recognize their talent as a leader. I recognize their need and obsessive behavior on creation, and I can enable them to become the best, hopefully least corrupt versions of themselves, and create tons of value on the journey. But you have to be a little bit prepared for this, right? Because if you're hiring people that look like you, and you're hiring people that act like the company's team that you currently have, you're going to get the same results you currently have. In venture and startups, you're looking for the stuff that's happening way outside the boundaries, way outside the lines. That doesn't come from traditionally educated corporate people. That comes from these individuals. They're artists and creators, and they barely graduated high school. Maybe they made it through college. They don't get along with people super well. This is where the talent comes from. This is where innovation comes from. And if you go look at the leaders of many of the companies that you started your companies, and Steve Jobs, and Lucky Palmer, and Elon Musk, and Evan Spiegel, and Mark Zuckerberg, these are traits. These are the traits of greatness for disruption. But if you asked me the three most critical pieces, right, of all the founders I've worked with, winners, losers, and the times I've spent with people that I just mentioned in intimate business settings, hyper positivity. They absolutely believe in themselves. They absolutely believe in their vision. There's never a down day. And they drive hard into that positivity. Overconfidence, of course. Belief, they believe in their success deeply. It's not a business case, right? It's not an Excel spreadsheet. It's not a market study. There's a fundamental belief. They're on a mission. They're a religious level leader. They are a cult level leader. And that belief and that leadership is what draws people to them. It's what people make want to work for them. They want to follow them on the journey. They will take lower salaries. I know that when I have a visionary, belief-driven leader, that means that all my salaries are like 20% under market. Because they will bring people with them on that journey. Because they bring that level of belief and they infuse it within everything they do, from the product to the customers to the business development, relationships, team, et cetera. So you need people with this level of belief. It's really critical. Again, this is not somebody that does a market study and says, there's an opportunity here. This is someone that wakes up that says, I will die if I don't do this. So it's a different level, right? There's no logic behind that belief, and they're driven. Right? And I often think, like, what is the core driver? And I will say it right now, proving somebody wrong is a really good driver. I know you think like, oh, that sounds so shallow. I'm telling you, the number of hyper-successful people that I've spent time with, and I ask them why they do it, it will come back to some teacher in like 5th grade. It'll come back to some girlfriend. It'll come back to their father, their mother. Somebody told them in their journey they couldn't do it. And for the last 20 years, they've been proving that person wrong. I am not looking for psychologically balanced individuals. Just to be clear, I was at a talk and they were like, let's talk about the mental health balance of entrepreneurship. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, I don't want any mental, have you seen a rich monk? Like, I don't come across Buddhists that are crushing industries. You see what I'm saying? Like, these people have a drive, and I found that these are the three most critical drives. Proving somebody wrong is a big one. Don't underestimate it. If you're in a meeting and you drive, you're like, but why are you doing this? Why are you the person to do this? And they come to some story with you and they're gonna prove somebody wrong. I'm telling you, it's a buy signal. It's not a like, ugh, they're petty. Go see a psychologist. You're like, don't see that psychologist actually. Keep that edge. Let's go put some money behind you and go fix that problem. Let's go prove them wrong together. I'm telling you, solving personal pain, absolutely. My mom died from X. I want to go solve this problem for other people. I can't solve this problem for myself. I want to bring, yes, solving a personal pain. We have a business right now where all they do is facilitate government benefits for people with disabilities. The guy's brother had a disability. The guy went through a year figuring out how to find the right government benefits for his brother. He did a great job. He came to me, he's like, Mike, I spent a year, this system is so screwed up. I created an AI system to enable government benefits for people with disabilities, ex-veterans, homeless individuals, mental health challenged individuals, and I created a platform to do it, to navigate that world, and I want to take what I've done for my brother, I'll make it into a business. I'm like, boom. Great business, personal, right? And then pure financial freedom. Don't underestimate greed. Right? I mean, the reality is people are like, look, I just want to make $100 million. I want to make $1 billion. I want to prove somebody wrong and become super rich in the process. Please, yes. You have some founder that's like, well, I don't know if I deserve the money. Like, trust me, it's a bad investment. right? And I spend a lot of time, candidly, talking to women, getting them comfortable with that point. Because I'll meet with men, and I'll be like, what do you want? Ferrari. I want the private plane. $100 million in my bank account, great. Meet with a woman, oh, emotionally stable, good family, happiness, good team. I'm like, where's the money, right? Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I was taught as a female entrepreneur to not ask for money, to not think that's not my job. And we've got to reverse that. Like, you want to back women entrepreneurs, you got to convince them that they deserve financial freedom and they deserve the financial rewards of success. And we got to reprogram that, or else we're always going to have a ton of male entrepreneurs. So I added this slide because when I did this talk a few weeks ago in Aspen, my girlfriend was there and she's like, you realize you just told everybody they should become a narcissist. So I'm not saying you need to become a narcissist to become successful, okay? I'm just saying that, stated here, exceptional people are not easy people. And if you're going to be in the business of corporate venture and innovation, you are in the business of finding out of the norm results with out of the norm people. And I'm telling you, these are the types of traits that these people exhibit. And so I'm not saying go and facilitate it, don't feed your inner Machiavellian tendencies, don't become generally disagreeable, but recognize that greatness does come from conflict and challenge. And if you're not set up to work with these people, you will probably get very mediocre results. Whether that means you're setting up internally, whether you're worried about the legal, whether the people that, you can't take these individuals and force them into a structure that's your structure. They will reject it and you will not get what you want. If you truly want to harness that level of innovation in early stage venture, you're going to have to be set up to work with this type of talent. It's a different type of talent, but if you do, you can get great results. Thank you for having me.
Okay, wait. I don't normally allow involvement to ask questions.
Okay.
You're so fantastic, and I see that people go like this.
Okay.
So anybody have questions for Mike?
Yeah.
Before he jumps
I'm
on
an
the
open
stage?
book. I mean,
Okay, you want to go? You got a hand?
yeah.
Stand up.
What are you doing from your venture side to make this company a success? Of course, entrepreneurs, great, but what are you doing from the other side? What do you see as things that can make, a dollar share do well?
Yeah, so he's basically saying, what are we doing from our side to facilitate the greatness of these individuals, right? So here's the way I think of it, and I think this world's going to become more like this because of AI. So you have somebody with a really good idea like Dollar Shave Club, but the reality is they don't know that a subscription business is fundamentally better than a one-time purchase business. But me, being like a 50-year-old guy, absolutely knows that that's the type of business you want. So a lot of times what we're doing fundamentally is we're taking legacy business knowledge of all our collective experience of what makes great business models, profitable business models, growth engines, great social marketing, and pairing it with people with very raw ideas, but they don't know those types of things, right? And a lot of that's my job, right? Hey, let's not raise equity for that, let's raise debt. Oh, I didn't know I could raise debt. Right? Hey, instead of allowing people one-time purchase, let's force them into a subscription so that we don't have to go and remarket them every time they need to buy razors. Oh, let's try, okay. Right? So fundamentally, we're taking our business knowledge and pairing it with really, really early stage ideas. And one of the challenges I have, candidly, is if you go through the traits of these individuals, a lot of them don't want advice, but you have to find the ones that are smart enough to want advice. That they're on a vision, on a mission, and they will take your knowledge, steal your knowledge for their benefit. So a lot of times that's what we're doing. Tactically, we also often run their finance. Tactically, we also run their marketing often because we're particularly good at big, giant scale performance marketing. So if I can find something good that I know my team can market, I know I can probably make it really, really great. So we bring certain pieces, but in most cases, the founders are bringing us the core concept. They're bringing us the core brand, the core product idea. They're probably figuring out some of the core components of manufacturing and that type of piece. And we're doing all the kind of megaphone enhancement of marketing strategy, broadcast partnerships. And then it becomes a nice paired relationship. Yeah.
Anybody have one other question? One more question?
Mike, that was awesome. Thank you for coming. A quick question. If I flip the script, you describe the traits of the entrepreneurs. What are the traits of the corporates that successfully partner with people like that? Who are they talking to? What are the groups that are doing the partnering? Any insights there?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very different per corporate, right? So in a perfect world, let's say max to min, right? The max is that the corporate's bringing strategy, distribution, internal partnerships, knowledge, data back to the startup, right? Because what I really want right? Like I've worked with a major CPG company and we launched something that's really, really good. And I'm like, can we just like push it through your distribution network? Oh no, there's a big wall between corporate and ops. And I'm like, yeah, but I want access to your ops. And you want me to have access to your ops. Because it takes what I'm doing and puts like 100x in front of it. You have a sales team all over the planet. Why can't they rep my stuff when they go in with yours? Oh, no, right? So in a perfect world, you would leverage what that last slide said on the previous presentation on the operational expertise and let them plug into it into some way, right? So that's what Walmart does with their kind of like innovation sections of their store where they're showing like new startup product lines. But most corporates can't do that, right? So let's go to the middle ground. The middle ground is you give some insight and some touch points with select partners and individuals. So early days, my largest backer was Hearst, right? In fact, Scott English is here. I can't see because it's very bright. And Hearst gave me a huge amount of money, right, to basically build companies. And we gave them a huge amount of money back. But at the beginning stages, yeah, they weren't able to let us distribute, but you know what they did? They opened their executive walls for me to come in with my team, pitch their head of magazines, pitch their head of TV, talk to their ad sales group, and although we did some slight partnerships, fundamentally we became smarter. I made better choices. Now when I went to Walmart recently, they gave me their head buyer, and we walked the aisles of Walmart to hear all the areas that he hated. Not enough product choice, don't like the vendors, upset with the legacy companies here. That knowledge informed the products that I'm building, right? So in the middle ground, access to your executives, access to knowledge in a setting is really valuable for startups because it gives us an advantage edge. I would also say in the middle ground, if I can go on your bulk buying, it's a big deal. If my ad buyers can go under your Google account, it's a big deal. It's like massive discount, massive better customer support. Like everything we do becomes faster if we can go under bigger spend, right? So there's a middle ground. If it's not those two, and it's the lightest touch, right? So Liquid Death, Live Nation. Live Nation's on the board. We get great feedback from them. We do deals with Live Nation. The board member at times will step in to try to facilitate if we have like a difficult point here and there. Now, we don't get a ton of time from like Rapino. We can get him if we need, but we're kind of quarantined out to like Tom Allison, who's handling us the head of ventures, which is totally fine, right? But the big thing for them, they just don't get on our way. Right? So they're not overly requesting reporting. They're not trying to get us to put our data into their formats. We're not having to rework the way we work, which I've worked with corporates that are like, we love the way you do things, but do things our way now. And I'm like, I wouldn't have to hire 2 full-time people just for your reporting requests. You know, so I would say if the best is, yeah, can they integrate within operational strategies and frameworks that you have? The middle is like, can you do data, partnerships, group buying, and the edge case is just don't fuck with the startup. Like, just don't get in their way of success.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have any more time for questions, right?
No more time. I'll be here from yours.
Can
Yeah.
I distribute your deck?
Yeah. No, do not send my deck
Do
out.
not send your deck. Okay. So
But,
you direct the
yes.
mic, okay. And then wait, last question. Are you fundraising?
I'm always fundraising. I'm always fundraising for funds and startups. You're always welcome to talk to me. Like, we're always fundraising. We're always building companies.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.